Hi, this is Lavender Lemonade. My name is Hannah, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different.
Yes, hi, I'm Maggie, and Hannah has been very kind enough to indulge me. Today we're going to be talking about one of my special interests, Çatalhöyük. This is something that I've learned about in college. I did a presentation on it. That's where I'm kind of pulling all my notes. So this is going to be a fun episode because this is going to be our first episode with the bibliography. There will be sources.
Ooh!
Yes. And Hannah, you don't know anything about it, do you?
No, I actually have no idea what the term means.
Okay, fantastic. Because then I will tell you and the listeners all about it at the same time.
Yes, please tell us.
So, Çatalhöyük was a settlement or a proto-city that lasted for 300 years in stability and, reasonable prosperity, and then collapsed or disbanded right before the start of the Bronze Age for, I believe, unknown reasons. It's one of those like ancient settlements, and it's located in modern day Turkey. It is a current dig site, meaning that we are still finding things out. And
wait, this is in Turkey?
Yes.
I didn't expect that. I'm so shocked. I thought it was something from America because you know about it. So this is closer to me, but I've never even heard of it. You're going to educate me about my own
unintentional
continent.
burn. The American only knows about America.
Oh, no, I didn't. No. I just thought that you would be more educated about America than I am because, I don't live there. I didn't expect you to be more educated about the area closer to me. That's a surprise. I did not mean offense. Please forgive me.
Hannah, I could forgive you anything. America does have interesting, really old shit in it. It's the idea that everything in America is new is actually that's part of the colonialist narrative, is that there was nothing here and then we took over. But we'll talk about America another day. We're going to talk about Çatalhöyük because I love it. And we're going to talk about how a man mucked up the historical record, and I will hold a grudge against him forever.
Of course he did.
So this is going to be one of those things where as this story unfolds, it's going to go in some directions, okay? And we're going to kind of reserve judgment till the end. With the caveat that, of course, anytime you're talking about an ancient civilization, it's not helpful to talk in terms of certainty. There are things that have been lost. We're never going to quite know exactly what was happening or exactly what people thought, in most cases. So we're gonna keep that all in mind. And I'm just gonna try and be clear when I talk, the things that I tend to believe, and then just make it clear when I'm talking about a belief and not something that we have evidence for, because I don't want to make this man's mistakes. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason we know about these people specifically living there, is it because you said there was an active dig? Are there big ruins that were found about it?
So there are ruins. So let me describe the physical shape of the city.
Yes, I was wondering about the physical shape. That was my question.
Yes.
What materials did they use? What was the shape of their houses? Please tell me.
Okay, I don't know what materials specifically. It was so Çatalhöyük was separated by a river. So there were two kind of settlements. It was all one thing, but they had a river going through the middle. Each side was completely identical. One thing I remember talking about in class is that the buildings were the same. They didn't seem to have hierarchy. There's no palace or anything.
Equality.
Right, all of these buildings are kind of built the same, and they're built in this interesting way where in order to exit the building, you come out onto the roof.
Whoa!
Yes. Where there wasn't really, there weren't streets.
I have theories now. Can I share?
Yes.
Okay, so I can think of two reasons why people would prefer to come out on the roof rather than the street. First one was that there was some types of animals that were going around that they didn't want to let in their house through the door, so it was safer to exit on the roof to not invite, I don't know, maybe some pests or some dangers. And my second theory, which I prefer, is that they had like a secret pact with the birds, and they were communicating with the birds, and the birds are of the sky. So when they came out, they wanted to say hi to the birds first and check up on them.
That's very sweet. I like that. I think I like. See, I want to indulge the whimsy, and then I'm also like in this very.
Do you know the reality of it?
Well, in the mindset right now of like, we cannot say these things for sure. Like, because the funny part of me wants to be like, yes, that's what happened, and then like the intellectual part is like, we don't know.
Oh no, it's okay to say we don't know. It's okay to. I was just saying whimsical theories because I thought it was funny.
Yeah, no, it is funny. I didn't put in my notes, so I don't remember now, like, if we know exactly why it was structured that way.
Okay, I have another question.
But it was like you could go from like your roof to your neighbors and like things like that.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna ask. Like, did they build little bridges like from the one roof to another? That's so cute.
Well, like the buildings were like all together. Like there weren't streets.
Oh, the roof were the streets.
Kind of, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was something that was really interesting, and the fact that there was no difference on either side of the river, we talked about that. There was some theorizing that, like, maybe they just married across the river to kind of keep from inbreeding, but it didn't seem to have been any cultural separation on the two sides.
Was there a bridge, or did I have to like swim across?
I don't know.
Because I'm thinking if there was no bridge, then it would have been difficult to socialize a lot, unless the river was not dangerous and was easy to swim across.
Well, we know that they married across the river because of, I mean, not to be gruesome, but like we have the bodies, so we know where people went.
All right.
And actually, we're going to get into that more later.
This is
first
playing into my birth. Sorry, I just need to say this is playing into my birth theory. If there was no bridge, maybe they got birds to carrying them over the river to find their wedded partner. I think that would be wonderful. Please continue.
Okay. So in 1958, some asshole named James Millart. That's Mellaart.
Boo.
That's right, everybody. Yes, in 1958, James Millart conducted the initial investigation of the ancient Çatalhöyük settlement in modern-day Turkey, and he made very hasty conclusions based on his first few unearthings about what Çatalhöyük was like, published a book about it, and he very quickly unearthed multiple small female figurines and immediately decided that they were a female goddess, a mother goddess, and that Çatalhöyük had been a matriarchy, which worshipped a mother goddess.
How that's just based on a few figurines.
Yes. Hi.
Sounds like jumping to conclusions. Go on.
So in 1967, Millart published a book called Çatalhöyük, a Neolithic Town in Anatolia, which very quickly became a classic, causing massive problems. Because what he did is he poisoned the well. When I was researching this some years ago for college, it was very hard to find a source which didn't either like dismiss the figurines and the entire theory like out of hand, like, oh, it couldn't have been that, or just accepts the entire thing like 100%, like, oh yeah, they were a matriarchy and our source is this one bad book from 1967. So his quick interpretation just, like, really frustrated it. He also, like, he did this really fucking annoying thing where, because his credibility wasn't bad enough already, he claimed that, that there had been, like, frescoes, that deteriorated so quickly that he couldn't get a photograph. He's got no evidence, but trust him, guys. But don't worry, they stayed long enough for him to make, like, watercolors of them.
Oh, come on now.
Right. So it's really frustrating because you're looking at it and you're like, you'll notice we haven't, like, there's nothing in here that, like, it could have been a matriarchy. It could have been egalitarian. We don't know. But now, like, that question is wrapped up in, do you believe James Millart?
I mean, he's a man, so I would have to pass on that.
Really frustrating. He just, like, came to these very quick conclusions and made it a fad. He made that train of thought like a fad that everyone gets to have, like, opinions on it, which is very annoying. So let's see. He may have fabricated. Oh yeah, by the way, the watercolors I mentioned, he made those in the 1980s, which to me sounds like, oh, you weren't getting attention anymore, so now you have, like, this new crazy claim. Yeah. The only, like, evidence that these frescoes that he described that couldn't be preserved and crumbled before he could photograph them were, like, rough sketches that he made, which were not released until 1989, and that is not evidence. That is not real evidence.
Yeah, and it doesn't make that much sense. I mean, if you found an ancient fresco or something like that, would you think to sit down and sketch it out and, you know, make a watercolor before you think to photograph it?
Right. Like, you have the... Oh my god. I'm not even going to tell you, like, what he said was in those frescoes, because
now it's tantalizing. Now it's extremely tantalizing, even though it seems like he made that up. Like, he just drew that in his own time, and he just connected it to the dig and said, yeah, these were found here.
Okay, no, fine, I'll tell you, and we could just be so mad at him. According to him, these frescoes included scenes of erupting volcanoes, people sowing and tending fields, and patterns that reminded him of the Turkish kalim. I don't know how to pronounce this. It's a type of patterned rug. So if you believe him, these frescoes are incredibly important information about the development of the human species, and especially if there's a connection to, like, a modern Turkish rug. That's really important.
Yeah, Turkey is famous for the rugs.
Right. But do you believe him?
No.
Is the thing.
No.
What an asshole. Okay, so Millart does not get to stay on the dig because he fucking sucks. In 1993, excavations of Çatalhöyük resume, led now by Ian Holder and Lynn Mescal. So the initial findings from Holder and Mescal were that, first of all, there were a lot of figurines, not all of them were female, and that they were not all found, like Millart said, in quote-unquote sacred spaces, but sometimes just discarded randomly, sometimes even in garbage heaps. So, again, not conclusive, but not great for Millart's sweeping idea of, like, a mother goddess matriarchy at Çatalhöyük.
Yeah, I mean, from that, all that we can safely say that there were some sculptors who made some figurines.
Yes, and some of those figurines were women, which, I don't know if you know this about the human population, but half of us are women, so, you know, it makes sense. However, Çatalhöyük is being excavated still to this day, I believe, and we are continuing to learn new things, and we are making this episode because new findings came out that I found really interesting. there's some new evidence suggesting that Melhart's fucking gut feeling about Çatalhöyük, his shady practices notwithstanding, might have had some truth to it.
Oh my goodness, go on.
Okay. So again, this is something that will be linked, and you're welcome to research it, look into it your own selves, and remember again that like it's not useful to be coming down on like really concrete findings about the past, especially this far in the past. But hold on. First of all, what I originally learned seems to have been updated. So Çatalhöyük is now considered to have been occupied for about 1,000 years, not 300, which is wonderful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it does seem to, the idea of it being egalitarian does seem to have continued. Just again, remember, like, no one had any fancier houses than anyone else. All of that. So, like, at the least, they didn't have this very sort of extreme social hierarchy that you can see in other societies. And they had subfloor burials, so children and adults would be buried, like, within houses below the floors. Okay.
That is actually really, like, it's difficult to explain. It's like they were really trying to occupy the least amount of earth possible. Like, they would use their roof as a street and their basement as a grave.
That's a really interesting way to phrase it. I agree.
This is something that I was considering when I was thinking about building my house, but just because I wanted the maximum amount of earth to be free to grow trees on, so I wanted to occupy the least tiny corner that I could. I was going to build it up so I have more space for trees. I wonder if that's related, or if there was some actual threat that stopped them from, you know, digging the graves outside or making the streets be on the floor.
I think that my feeling is that maybe they just wanted to keep people close, that maybe it was an expression of love, and like there's something, I think American culture is very much psychologically separated from death. We don't like to think about it or be around it or anything. And so the idea of taking people, when someone dies, you bury them in the house that you still live in, and everybody does that. That's just a very, very different way to conceptualize of death and the people that you love, and living your life knowing that that's what will happen to you as well, and that your loved ones and your future generations will be, it's like you're still with them in the house.
Okay, but I would be upset because I would be walking all over them, like they would be under my feet. That, I mean, if it's the culture, if that's normal, I guess it would be fine. But walking on top of the grave is considered a little offensive even here.
I know, it is different ways of thinking about it, right? So the new information that came out, or new results. They were studying social organization at Çatalhöyük, and trying to identify, because again, like we have the site, we have people's bones, so they're trying to identify genetic ties figure out how these people who are buried together are related to each other. Okay. Mm-hmm. And what they found out is that maternal lineage, I'm quoting from their study, or from their abstract, had a key role in connecting Çatalhöyük household members. So about 70 to 100% of the time, female offspring, remained connected to buildings, whereas adult male offspring may have moved away. So in other words, like you would grow up in your mother's house, and then you would stay in your mother's house. And if you got married to a man, he would come and live with you.
Does that mean... Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm wondering now, does this mean they were inheriting the property and the house was considered theirs? Or it could go into the other direction, that they weren't allowed to leave?
Well, They also discovered, and I'm quoting again, preferential treatment of female, infant, and child burials with 5 times more grave goods offered to females than males.
Oh, I like that. Oh, continue. This pleases me greatly.
Right. So it's really interesting. They also found that social organization, how people were buried, changed over time at Çatalhöyük. Initially, people buried together within the same house were like extended family members, and then over time, people being buried in the same house may not have been related. They found groups who were genetically unrelated but buried together. And so, like, over time, it seems to have been less important who you were related to, and it seems like the Çatalhöyük may have been fostering or adopting people.
Oh, found family.
Yes. And then all the time throughout this shift, and I'm going to quote directly again because I love this, despite this shift, female-centered practices continued at Çatalhöyük.
Excellent.
Good. So Çatalhöyük seems, these results seem to be indicating that male-centric practices of like women being displaced from their childhood homes and like going to live with their husband and his family, and males being preferred over females, that was not an inherent characteristic of early agricultural societies, because, you know, here's an example of one that isn't like that, which is really, really interesting.
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
Yeah. So that's some new information about Çatalhöyük, or at least one study. And I find it really comforting, I think. Like, Çatalhöyük has been something, like, ever since I learned about it, I was like, okay, like, we don't know what we don't know, but at the very least, like, this is somewhere that we can say was largely egalitarian or, like, leaning that way, which is already a step up from, you know, current circumstances. But now, like, looking at it, it seems like they're matrilineal, or I don't know if we can quite go that far, but like,
women.
I am wondering again about a mother goddess. None of the information I have says that we can say that they had a mother goddess, but it also seems possible. What do you think?
I'm wondering if, do we have like the pictures of the figurines?
So, yes. So for this episode, we will be including one picture. There are multiple, but I have one in particular that is my favorite. It is a seated female figure flanked by 2 lionesses. And it's attributed as like a mother goddess, which we don't know. This would fall in line with, like, there's this trope, there's this thing that shows up. It's called the Mother of Beasts. And it's this type of goddess with animals around her. And it shows up in some early civilizations. And so, like, this looks like a mother of beasts to me. It looks like it might be a female goddess with a connection to animals. But I'm going to try not to be James Millart and just say all of my gut feelings with certainty.
Okay, I do have a theory on why he assumed this, because I'm looking at the picture right now, and it does look like a very powerful picture. Like, she looks powerful with the animal heads on her throne, and she is sitting down on a throne too. I think it's because maybe he found the figurines and he noticed that they were not sexualized, that this wasn't the work of a man who was, making quote unquote art about himself being horny, and it was something made like an item of worship. Because you can tell when they're doing something, as their perverted hobby, and when something is made to present value, to present power. And this figurine does present a lot of power to me. So maybe he saw that and he was like, oh wow, this is a non-sexualized figurine of woman. The only possible explanation is that, she was the goddess, she was a matriarch.
I wonder, because one thing I noticed about this image, and we will put it in, it'll be up on the screen if you're watching this on YouTube, is like her stomach. That always stands out to me because I think a lot of early female figurines that I've seen will have, like, they'll be called fertility symbols. I don't know if that's true. I don't like how quickly that gets slapped onto everything. But you'll see these characteristics of emphasized breasts and butt, and something like, and that's what people will say, like, when they talk about it, they'll be like, oh yeah, those characteristics are emphasized. What they don't mention is the stomach is almost always also emphasized. Not always in the sense of like pregnancy, but more in the sense of like, these are, to me, like, I look at it and the feeling that I get is prosperity. It's more like this is what a prosperous woman looks like. And it's not so much that, like, okay, we're going to emphasize the breasts and butt because that's sexy. It's more like, she's fat. That's what a fat woman looks like. And so it feels very appropriate to me to recognize that as this, what that would have meant to a food insecure society, or like food supply is an issue like throughout most of human history. So what a symbol like this might have actually meant.
Yeah, she looks very sturdy. She looks very well fed. She looks extremely strong. She's a power to reckon with.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, it's interesting looking at this figure, the sort of rings that you see at the shoulder, like, I'm like, what does that symbolize? Like, what? I know that had a meaning. What was it? She's got kind of like a short hairstyle. She looks like a butch to me.
Yeah, she does. Okay.
Yeah. And it's really interesting to look at and be like this, with the understanding that, like, I don't know what the culture that made this figurine, like, actually thought of it or intended. Me looking at this, what is invoked to me is definitely prosperity. And I find it very interesting and very telling when people look at it and they're like, oh yes, fertility, love goddess. I'm like,
No.
Interesting.
For me,
okay.
It's a bit different than for you. I'm looking at the lionesses on her like throne, and I feel like she's a safeguard. And also because of how strong she is, I feel like she would be the guardian. She would be protecting the community.
That's really, really interesting. I do like that. Definitely a sense of power.
Yes.
So that is wonderful. If anyone, I hope that y'all check out the bibliography. I hope you check out these links. I hope you read about Çatalhöyük. I encourage anyone, any thoughts that you have, to include them. And just, I think, we may not ever know exactly what it was like to live at Çatalhöyük. But this was a civilization that lasted for like a good little while, longer than America, and longer than America so far, but we'll see.
How long is America existing? I don't know the dates.
Yeah, so 70, 73. So, America is like 300-ish. So.
That is so difficult to imagine because it feels like such a short time.
It is. It is. And, you can look at modern America and you can just really see that we've built for stability and longevity. And everything is going great and we will still be here in 1,000 years. Yeah, exactly like this.
This is some heavy sarcasm right here.
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine. But, Çatalhöyük lasted for at least that long, and it's looking like much longer, honestly. And as far as I have ever heard, peacefully, and definitely without a lot of ostentatious social hierarchy. And that's really admirable, and it's really beautiful, and I think it shows that if humans did it once, we can do it again.
Yeah. It is inspirational, and it is proof that it can be done.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Very important to recognize we have not always just been fighting and killing and raping. There are examples in history of a different way.
Can you imagine if we made this kind of figurine today and this was like the female ideal, what we were all supposed to aspire to, just to become as big and as sturdy as possible and to have like pet lions?
It would be really interesting, a different way to look at people. Do you ever feel like for a moment, something overtakes you, like you get a glimpse into, like sometimes I will look at somebody and for an instant, I can just see, like, I feel like I'll see into their future, not like literally, but like, I'll see someone and I'll be like, oh, I can see you as an old man. Or I'll see somebody and I'll be like, oh, I can see what you were like in your youth. And sometimes, like, I saw this woman, and she was this, like, very big, sturdy woman with all of these curves. And I looked at her and for a second I was like, oh, that's the, like, I looked at her as if she was, like, the focal point of, like she was the flower queen at a celebration. I was like, oh yeah, she's the one who, like, dresses up as the goddess to invoke her name. I sound like a crazy person, but, like, do you ever see somebody and for a second, like, you just, like, get a flash of, like, a completely different context of where that person could be?
Maggie, you're psychic.
No, there's something wrong with me.
No, I've never experienced this in my entire life. I've been listening to this completely stunned. I think you have magical powers. I think there's a way we can use it for good. Maybe you are the goddess, or perhaps a superhero. Like, what do you want to do with this?
Oh, I have no idea. I just walk around this world, and every once in a while I look at somebody and I'm like, oh, I can't explain it, but you're special. And then I just go on my day, because you can't say that. It's just strange.
Yeah, is there anything else you have insight into?
It's very funny that we are kind of going down this route, because I consider myself to be sort of a spiritual dead zone. Because I have lived in several places that everyone was like, oh, it's haunted, it's super haunted. Not to me, it wasn't. So I always kind of joke that, like, if you want to make sure that nothing supernatural will happen, bring me.
Oh, but that might mean that you're strong enough to repel everything.
To keep out the bad spirits, I would like that. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was really, really interesting. I mean, every time you do get this insight, it sounds like you get a very positive image. It sounds like you get an image of this person's value and importance within the context of their life and their community.
Yeah. It is weird that, this is gonna sound like I'm making it up, and I swear to God it's true. when I was like 13 or so, I was in this class learning about like ancient Greece, and it was very weird to me the first class because there was this woman there that like I kept staring at her. I kept expecting someone to like bring it up because I was like looking at her and I was like, she is obviously like this is her culture, this was her culture, like this is where she's from. Not like I thought that she was literally like from Greece, but like I thought that she was literally from ancient Greece specifically.
Yeah, go on.
Like I just like I looked at her and I was like, obviously like that was her past life. Like that's what she is.
Oh, she was a real person that was in the room, right?
Yes.
I
Real
thought
person.
I thought you were about to end this with like, and nobody else saw her. She didn't exist. She was a ghost.
No, she was a real classmate, but like I was so stunned that like nobody ever said anything as we were learning about all of this Greek stuff because I was like, obviously.
So you could sense her ancestry.
No, I don't want to go that far. It was just I think because I don't know what it was because I can't say like, oh, she looked stereotypically like this or that. It's not really like that for me. I have no idea what it is. I think that there is something, because humans love to pattern match. I think there is something in me that just comes up with very like definitive like vibes. Like I will see people sometimes, it'll hit me a certain way and I get like a full picture, a full image. I don't think that image is real, but like I don't actually think that like I'm tapping into anything, but I think that like the pattern matching is strong enough in my brain that it feels very significant.
I feel like if we had more resources, we could test it out. We could bring people of like different heritages and different like values in their society, and we could just like check if your insight is ever hitting home. And if we were doing an experiment, then we could ask the people if you were right or wrong, and then we could tell if your pattern matching is like correct most of the time or wrong most of the time. I think that would be very fun.
It would be interesting. I think it would be a fun thing to do if we could, because the pattern matching is never negative. Like I've never looked at someone and been like, "Oh, you're an evil, nasty person," or "You did this," or "You did that." It's not like that. So
I think it would be a fun thing to do. I wish I could say that about people. I wish I could see someone and immediately know if they're evil, so I could avoid them. That would be so useful.
If it was true and useful and not just like going off of, I don't know, biases or something. Yeah. But yeah. Honestly, if you just act very suspicious of any man, you'll get most of the way. You'll be fine.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, thank you all for coming along with us to hear about Çatalhöyük. It's a very sort of surface level overview, just hitting some of the high points. And again, I hope I've like done it justice and I'm not trying to like build a crazy conspiracy or anything like that. So please check out the links that will be provided, all of my little sources, and let us know what you think.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy our analysis of an ancient figurine and what we think about it. We would love to know what you think about it if you get the same vibes. I think looking at like ancient female goddesses and analyzing them is always valuable because we just don't get this representation today. We can dream and think about it and get an image of how it would be to live in such a world, and that's a good reference to have in your brain.
Yeah, absolutely. I am a strong believer. Our first episode talking about goddesses, I got into this a little bit. I am a very strong believer in like projecting what we want forward into the future, and not trying to impose it onto the past. But you can absolutely draw threads from the past to like get hope. And remember that we've done it before and we can do it again.
Yeah, if America is just 300 years old, it could stop being like this eventually.
It could be like a nice place to live. Oh my god, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
It could stop being run by men who very clearly make every decision with their dicks.
That's what I was thinking, yep.
Very different, very different. America not bloodthirsty. Ooh.
Yeah. Even if just like the entire military was disbanded and like few of the most aggressive sports were disbanded and all of these people were like, no longer present with us, we would we would heal.
American football really is should wild, crazy stuff that we do to people. All right, thank you for joining us. Let us know what you think. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.